Okay, I'm going to move to a question now. We'll start with Supervisor Gates, and this will be for all of you because it's related to all of you, and it's related to these little things and other issues pertaining to these little things. So as we all know, we're facing really a historic pandemic affecting everybody's lives, global economy, national economy, and of course right here at home. So the question I want you to address is just in general about mask mandates, about the impact on businesses, especially bars, restaurants, gyms, the things that we've all seen in the news. And you can address those questions from your perspective at the county level and, of course, at the city level. And we'll start with you, Supervisor Gates, for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sam. As I mentioned, we really have been in the bullseye of this at Maricopa County. And from the beginning, we've been very much focused on keeping the cases down and getting information out to people. So we provide updates every day to the residents of Maricopa County on the number of cases that we have. We consult with our epidemiologists and public health professionals on a daily basis. And when we had the shutdown coming right out of the chute, many people did that. Many states did that. I think we've learned throughout this process that that is not a sustainable approach. We need to have our businesses open. We need to have our schools open. But unfortunately, has been proven by some of the events in Washington, D.C. in the last week, that doesn't happen magically. You have to make certain sacrifices as individuals to be able to keep our businesses open and to keep our schools open, and this is one of them. And I can tell you that we have been at the bullseye of this because along with my colleagues, we voted 5-0 to pass a mask mandate for Maricopa County. And I've received a lot of emails from people who are upset about that, and I respect that. I don't like wearing it either, but the reality is we've seen a great decrease in the number of cases in Maricopa County as a result of this. These are what are allowing us to go on with our lives. We just had an economic update earlier this week, and Maricopa County's economy is doing surprisingly well. And that's because we're taking the actions necessary to move forward with our lives. But I want this to be over as quickly as everyone else does. Let me be clear tonight. You're not going to have to wear these forever. This is going to be behind us. And hopefully we'll never have to deal with this again. But right now we've got to be smart and we've got to protect ourselves so we can keep these businesses open. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Let me ask a question just of Supervisor Gates on this one. Can you share with us your position on smart development in contrast with land preservation and light pollution?
Yeah, thank you for this question. And this is something that I've had the opportunity to work a lot on, both during my time on the City Council, but particularly on the Board of Supervisors. So we know this is a desirable area out here. People love this area. It's beautiful. And so they want to move here. And that's great. We like that. But we also like our way of life out here. And I've heard that loud and clear since I've represented this area. So we have worked to balance that, to have some development, but we want to maintain the way of life that we have out here. One of the things that happened early on in my time out here was we started to see more and more of these wildcat subdivisions popping up. And that's a real problem out in the community. So we have developed strong relationships with the State Department of Real Estate to make sure that developers are complying with the laws out here. Another thing is light. Again, same thing. We love the beautiful area out here. We love the open space that we have. And we've been working with the State Land Department to make sure that we save more of this land. Fortunately, down in the city of Phoenix, the mothers and fathers of Phoenix set aside mountain preserve land so that way in, in the inner parts of Phoenix, you can enjoy that. And we're trying to do the same thing out here. As development comes, can we maintain that open space so that we can enjoy Daisy Mountain, we can enjoy the hiking trails, and definitely with light pollution, we love the stars out here, right? And so that's something that we want to work very closely with one another to keep that down. There's been some discussions about billboards and getting more billboards along I-17 up here, and I fought against that and working to make sure that we have an area up here in this area that's free from those digital billboards that really take away from those beautiful nighttime skies that we have out here.
All right, Supervisor Gates, now I'm going to ask for a little bit of your experience of many years here in local government. The question is about preserving elections integrity, voting integrity. It's a big issue, and there's a lot of debate about mailing in ballots and so forth. And would we agree that most of that is covered at the county level and not the city level here? And you may defer and say, well, we've got other elected representatives. But can you speak to that question so that people feel that their votes are being counted and we're getting a fair and accurate result?
Yeah, nothing more important than the integrity of our elections. We understand that at Maricopa County, and I give you a little bit of history on that and bring you to where we're at. The way the Arizona legislature has set things up, they have put the responsibility for mail-in ballots, okay, early ballots, mail-in ballots, they are with the county recorder. The election day voting and emergency day voting, that's right before the election and that weekend before, is with the Board of Supervisors. That's how the legislature set it up. But back in the 1950s, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors turned that over to the recorder, said, hey, you do it all, keep it under one roof, we'll approve your budget, but we don't want to run it day for day, day by day. And that worked out pretty well for many decades, say when we had 200,000 people. Now we have 4.5 million people in Maricopa County. In 2016, we had a presidential primary that you might recall. It was a disaster. I don't usually use that word, but it was. We know that, right? People were in lines for hours and hours. We had problems. As a result of that, a very good woman, Helen Purcell, was voted out of office. So then in 2018, Adrian Fontes, so she was a Republican, Adrian Fontes became the recorder. In 2018, in his running of the election, we had issues too in the primary. Over 50 primary locations that were unable to open. We had other allegations of problems with that election. So when I became the chairman of the Board of Supervisors in 2019, I knew that it was time to step up. The Board of Supervisors had to step up alongside the recorder to help run elections for the fourth largest county in the country. So now, fast forward to 2020, we used to have one partisan elected official who ran all of our elections. Now we have 6 of us. We have a recorder who's a Democrat and 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. So it's 4 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And we've run 2 successful elections so far in 2020 with the difficulty of COVID-19, with social distancing, with masks for our poll workers. The elections team has done a great job. And we've been supporting them. We've doubled the size of the elections department, and we went out and bought new tabulation machines for the elections department. We have a reputation at the Board of Supervisors of being fiscal conservatives, and I'm proud of that. However, when your machines are held together by duct tape, it's time to invest in new machines. So we've done that, and we're ready to go. And I want everyone to understand here, we have a true hybrid system in Maricopa County, unique in the country. If you want to vote by mail, you can do it, and you should feel confident of that. We've talked to the Postal Service. They've not taken away machines here in Maricopa County. But if you want to vote on Election Day, or before that, walking into that polling place, we believe in that too, and you should feel confident about that because we have the measures in place, the social distancing, etc., for you to be safe. So it's your choice either way. But I'm very proud of the way that we've come together on a bipartisan basis at Maricopa County so that everyone can feel good that this is a process with integrity. There are eyes all over the process, and we welcome all of you with your questions that you have. But there will be 174 voting centers, some of them opening as early as tomorrow. 174 voting centers all across Maricopa County, and you can vote at any one of them that is most convenient to you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you. The next question will be for all of you. It has to do with what we've all been witnessing on television, perhaps in person, and that is the protesting that has turned oftentimes violent, riots, looting, so forth. I think, fortunately, at least in my estimation, other cities have suffered far worse than Phoenix. But I think that's the question that was submitted, is essentially what is your perspective on that, balancing free speech, peaceful protest versus use of force, use of law enforcement to stop violence and looting and so forth. So let's start with Supervisor Gates on that.
Thank you. I've been very proud to have the opportunity to work alongside and support both the Phoenix Police Department during my time on the City Council, and then also the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. We've got great folks who work with both institutions. I have the utmost respect for those folks and have been proud to work alongside them. And some of my darkest days, if not my darkest days during my service, has been attending funerals, both for Phoenix police officers and for members, detention officers, and others with Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. So I understand what a difficult job they have. And I want to be clear this evening, I do not support the defund the police movement. Now, having said that, I know that this is a time of great controversy, a time of a lot of soul searching in our country. And I think that that can be a good process if we do it in a peaceful way. And I would agree, Sam, that we have been very fortunate in Maricopa County to not have the type of violence that we've seen in other areas. And I don't think that that happens by accident. I think that's a result of a long tradition of communications between law enforcement and our communities. And I would tip my cap to Jerry Williams, Chief of Police of Phoenix. She's done an incredible job, as well as many other law enforcement leaders in Maricopa County. So we need to have an honest dialogue. I think that's a good thing. And in fact, as I have participated in a activity that's been going on here in Maricopa County over the past few months called the Bridge Forum, where we've brought in people from the African American community, the Latino community, law enforcement, and there hasn't been finger pointing. There have been real discussions. And that's something that I've tried to do during my time in government. I think we need to tone the rhetoric down, and we need to start talking to one another, and we need to have civil discourse. And I've got great hope that we can do that all together moving forward.
Right. Okay. This question will be for all of you. It is written specifically, and I'll let you know the question, specifically for the Phoenix City Council, but I want to get Supervisor Gates back in here, and it relates really to all levels of government. The question talks about corruption, and it does acknowledge, this questioner says it's a problem at all levels of politics, and says that recently the general manager of the former general manager of the Suns admitted on Twitter to bribing Phoenix City Council members. Now, I don't know the veracity of that. That's the question as presented. But what is your plan to rid City of Phoenix politics of corruption? And then when it poses the same thing, what's your feeling at the Maricopa level? So just because they've just answered a round of questions, why don't I start with you on corruption and politics at the county level?
Yeah, this is a very important issue, corruption. We want to have people in government who have ethical standards and live up to those, and that's something that I've definitely focused on during my time in government. While I was on the Phoenix City Council, I was actually part of the City Council that voted to put in place an ethics policy, and we also have an ethics policy at Maricopa County. It's very simple. You must go there to do the people's business, and you must have a moral compass to know what is right and wrong. And that's the way that I have always behaved as an elected official. You have to be focused on what is best for everyone in Maricopa County and not how you can personally benefit out of it. And this is something that I feel very strongly about. And I'll tell you something too. When over the years, when I've had folks come to meet with me and they've had to do business in other places, and I'm not going to name any names of other places, but they have commented both in Phoenix and in Maricopa County how they don't have those same experiences with the corruption. They find that things are very transparent. We at the county, we as a Board of Supervisors, we choose a county manager, and that county manager is responsible for running the operations day to day. Just like in Phoenix, where the mayor and council, they select a city manager. That way, when you have new people getting elected into office, they're not bringing their cronies in. You have professionals who run things. And I can tell you both that Maricopa County and the city of Phoenix have been recognized over the years for being professional, for being best in class, and that is certainly what I am committed to continuing having at Maricopa County.
Thank you. Why don't I segue that question to you, Supervisor Gates, in the same theme, but over here in your district, 3, for the Board of Supervisors. Can you talk about your accessibility, your interaction? We are a Chamber of Commerce hosting this, especially the business community, but also the citizens and residents on the Maricopa side of Anthem.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I recognize that I am the mayor and city council for all of you out here. So I've made myself very accessible over the years. And one thing I wanted to mention earlier that I didn't was we have an area plan out here in New River that helps guide development into the decades ahead. When I came in, opened it up in my office, I saw it was from the late 90s. So I said, we've got to update this area plan. So we actually, over a number of years, we held an extensive process where we had several meetings with a lot more people than we have here tonight, because that was in pre-COVID days, and found out how people wanted development to look like over the years. So very proud of that process, and I want to thank everyone, Anthem Community Council and others that were a part of that. But I actually do a monthly meeting out here, again, pre-COVID days, every month, and this was something that your prior supervisor, Andy Kanasic, had put in place. And I remember being at this event 4 years ago, and I got asked a question about meetings, and I said, I commit to every meeting that Andy Kanasic had, and that's what I've done. So we do the monthly meetings, very grateful to the Daisy Mountain Fire District, which hosts those. And so before it was Chief Nichols, now with Chief Tobin, we've continued those, so that's a great opportunity. And there's no agenda. It's just come out and chat with me, find out what's going on, and I've learned so much through that process. And one of the things that we learned through that was the concern with, and sorry to bring up City of Phoenix here, but as you all know who live out here, we've got a lot of people who have their water hauled to their houses. And for years, they got it from the City of Phoenix. That was great. Well, my good friend and former colleague, Thelda Williams, and for those of you who know Thelda, she said, that's done. We're not doing that anymore, and there's no convincing Thelda otherwise. And I appreciate that. She's got to look out for the City of Phoenix. But then the residents out here came to me and said, Bill, what are we going to do? How are we going to get water to our homes? And so we had a great collaborative effort with our friends from Anthem and with Epcor Water, where Epcor actually built a water refilling station. And it wasn't easy. We had to go to the Corporation Commission to get approval for it. And it's right next to a wash. So we had to go to the Corps of Engineers and get approval for it as well. And if you've ever dealt with the Corps of Engineers, you know that's not easy. But we got approval for it, and that station was opened up. So as a result of that, these folks continue to get water now, and the City of Phoenix doesn't, have to provide their water to us anymore. So the only way I knew about that was from coming out here. And I commit and redouble my efforts if I'm reelected. That's why I'm here tonight. My opponent's not here tonight. I'm here because I'm committed to this area, and I'm excited for the opportunity to continue to represent this area.
Thank you. And lastly, Supervisor Gates.
Thanks so much. I know this area well. I was a graduate of Deer Valley High School back in 1989 when that was the only high school in the district. So I feel very much at home up here. And it has been my true honor to represent this area for the last 4 years. I thank the Anthem Chamber for hosting this event. It's been great to work with them. During this time of COVID-19, our small businesses have been hurting. And I've worked with the Anthem Chamber and my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors to set aside $64 million to be provided to our small businesses to help them through this time. And COVID-19 is not over with. And I understand what a responsibility Maricopa County has on this. And so that's one of the main reasons I'm running again, because we have to see the job done. This is not the time for on-the-job training. I'm somebody, during my time in government, I've been interested in working on complicated issues. I'm not somebody who's out there trying to make a big splash on social media. I love the difficult issues, whether it was the issue with water, whether it's elections and coming together with a program in a bipartisan fashion, or if it's dealing with COVID-19, getting us through this and providing relief to those people who are hurting. I really do understand, having served in local government, that it's not about these nationwide issues that we see people dealing with in Congress. It's issues about stuff that's happening on your street, that's happening in your parks. And I understand that focus, and I really, really would love to have the opportunity to continue to represent this area on the Board of Supervisors. So I ask for your vote. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. And